In the small town of Maplewood, where the streets were lined with oak trees and the air carried the scent of freshly baked pies from the local bakery, I often felt like a bird in a gilded cage. The sun rose and set in predictable patterns, and the rhythm of life here was comforting yet suffocating. Everyone knew each other, and the expectations of family and community loomed larger than the sky itself. My parents wanted me to follow the same path they had walked, find a steady job, settle down, and live a life of quiet contentment. But I had big dreams of distant cities, bright lights, and a life filled with passion and purpose. From a young age, I was the girl who stood out. My flair for the dramatic was evident in every school play I auditioned for. My passion for art spilled onto every canvas I touched. I longed to travel, to experience the world beyond the horizon of Maplewood. Yet every time I shared my aspirations, my family's faces would tighten with concern. They loved me, but their love felt heavy, like a blanket that smothered my fire. "You need to think practically, Emma," my father would say, his voice laced with worry. "The world is a tough place. You need to have a plan." My mother, with her gentle smile, added, "You can always pursue your dreams on the side, honey. But you need to be realistic." Though their words were well-intentioned, they felt like chains pulling me back, away from my dreams. Each day, I would sit in my room and stare at the ceiling, imagining the life I wanted. I could see myself in New York, painting murals on high-rise buildings, or in California, writing stories under the sun. I wanted to create, to inspire, and to be free. But there was one person who saw the spark within me and encouraged it, a person who understood my passion and shared his own dreams. His name was Jake, and he was a few years older than me, a college student studying environmental science. We had met at a local coffee shop where I spent countless hours sketching and dreaming. He would often sit at the table next to me, engrossed in his books, and we struck up a conversation one rainy afternoon. "What's your dream?" he had asked, his blue eyes sparkling with curiosity. At first I hesitated, unsure if I should share my deepest desires with a stranger. But something about Jake's demeanor made me feel safe. I told him about my aspirations of becoming an artist, of traveling the world, and of painting murals that would inspire others. As I spoke, I could see his interest growing, and for the first time, I felt like someone truly understood me. "You have a gift," he said, his voice sincere. "You should never let anyone make you feel like you can't chase after your dreams." His encouragement ignited something within me, and from that day on, we became inseparable. Jake was my confidant, my cheerleader, and my first love. He would take me on long drives under the stars, sharing his own dreams of working on environmental projects that would change the world. Together, we mapped out our futures, dreaming of adventure and creativity. But as summer faded into fall, the reality of my situation began to weigh on me even more. My family's expectations grew louder, and I felt the walls of Maplewood closing in. I could hear whispers of doubt from my parents, concerns about my future, and the fear that I would leave them behind. I wanted to reassure them, to show them that chasing my dreams didn't mean abandoning them. But every word I spoke seemed to fall flat. "Emma, why can't you just be happy here?" my mother pleaded one evening, her voice tinged with desperation. "You have everything you need in this town." "I want more, Mom," I replied, my voice trembling. "I need more." Jake stood by my side, a steady presence in the chaos of my emotions. He believed in me, and with him, I felt the world shift. His support was a lifeline, giving me the courage to confront the fears that plagued me. We spent countless nights dreaming about the future, sketching out plans on napkins and old receipts. With each ambitious conversation, my confidence grew. One crisp evening, as we sat on the hood of Jake's car, parked on a hill overlooking Maplewood, I turned to him with determination in my eyes. "I want to apply to art schools in New York. I want to show everyone that I can do this." Jake smiled, his expression a mix of pride and encouragement. You can, Emma. You have to. Just think about how incredible it would be. You could be surrounded by people who share your passion. His enthusiasm was infectious, and soon I found myself poring over application forms, gathering my portfolio, and crafting heartfelt essays about my dreams. With each submission, my heart raced with a mix of fear and excitement. I was taking steps toward my future, and for the first time, I felt like I was in control of my destiny. But as the days turned into weeks, the pressure from my family only intensified. My parents began to worry about my future, and I could sense their disappointment as I shared my plans. I hated seeing the concern etched on their faces, but I couldn't let their fears dictate my life. I had to believe that pursuing my dreams was worth the risk, even if it meant breaking their hearts. Emma, what if you fail? My father asked one night, his voice filled with worry. What if you don't make it in the city? I took a deep breath, my heart pounding. What if I don't try, Dad? What if I spend my life wondering what if? He looked at me, his eyes softening, and for a moment, I could see the struggle within him. He wanted to protect me, to keep me safe, but I needed to forge my own path. I needed to chase my dreams, even if it meant stepping away from everything I had ever known. The day I received my acceptance letter to the prestigious Art Institute of New York was one of the happiest moments of my life. I screamed, jumped, and danced around my room, the weight of the world lifting off my shoulders. I had done it. I was one step closer to realizing my dreams. But when I shared the news with my family, the reactions were mixed. My mother was quiet, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Are you sure this is what you want, Emma?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yes, Mom. I've never been more sure of anything in my life," I replied, my heart racing with excitement. My father smiled, but remained skeptical. "Just promise us you'll take care of yourself. The city is a tough place." "I promise," I said, my heart swelling with a mixture of pride and fear. As I prepared for my move to New York, I cherished every moment I had with Jake. We spent late nights talking about our dreams, our future, and what it would be like to live in the city. He was excited for me, but also worried about what would happen to us. The thought of leaving him behind was gut-wrenching, but I knew I had to follow my path. "Promise me you won't forget about us," he said one night, his voice thick with emotion. "I could never forget you, Jake. You're the one who believed in me when no one else did," I whispered, my heart aching. As I packed my bags, I felt a whirlwind of emotions, excitement, fear, and sadness. I was leaving Maplewood, the place that had shaped me, but I was also stepping into a world of endless possibilities. I wanted to prove to everyone, especially myself, that I could chase my dreams and succeed. The day of my departure arrived, and the air was thick with bittersweet memories. My family gathered at the curb, their faces a mixture of pride and sadness. I could see the love in their eyes, but I also felt the weight of their expectations. I hugged them tightly, promising to stay in touch and visit whenever I could. As I climbed into the car, I glanced back at Maplewood one last time, holding on to the memories of my childhood, my family, and the love I had for this small town. I was ready to embrace the unknown, to chase my dreams, and to discover who I was meant to be. Jake squeezed my hand as we drove away, his presence grounding me in the chaos of change. "You're going to do amazing things, Emma. I know it," he said, his voice steady. I turned to him, my heart swelling with love. "Thank you for believing in me, Jake. I couldn't have done this without you." Over the next few weeks, the city welcomed me with open arms. The bustling streets, the vibrant art scene, and the diverse cultures ignited my creativity in ways I had never imagined. Every day was a new adventure, and I poured my heart into my art, inspired by the world around me. But as the excitement of the city settled, I began to feel the strain of distance in my relationship with Jake. We tried to maintain our connection through late-night calls and texts, but the time zones and busyness of life in the city began to take their toll. I missed him dearly, and the ache of our separation grew heavier with each passing day. One evening, as I stood in front of a blank canvas in my small studio apartment, I picked up my phone and called Jake. "Hey, I miss you," I said, my voice breaking. "I miss you too, Emma. How's everything going?" he asked, his voice warm and reassuring. "It's amazing. I'm learning so much, but I feel like something is missing," I confessed. "Do you think it's because I'm not there?" he asked, his voice filled with understanding. I hesitated. "Maybe. I just wish you could see this world with me. I want to share it with you. I wish I could be there too, but I want you to focus on your dreams. You're doing incredible things, Emma," he said, his voice filled with pride. As we talked, I realized that while I was chasing my dreams, I was also learning the importance of balancing my love for him with my ambitions. I couldn't let distance dim the light of our love, but I also knew that I had to prioritize my journey. The months went by, and I continued to thrive in the city. My art began to gain recognition, and I was invited to showcase my work at a local gallery. I felt like I was finally living the life I had always dreamed of, but a part of me still yearned for the warmth of Jake's embrace. As the night of my gallery opening approached, I felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. It was a pivotal moment in my career, and I wanted to share it with Jake. I called him, my heart racing. "I want you to be here for my opening. It's important to me." "I wish I could, Emma, but school is really busy right now," he replied, his voice tinged with regret. I felt a pang of disappointment. "I understand, but I need you to know how much you mean to me. I'll always be cheering for you from afar," he said, and I could hear the sincerity in his voice. On the night of the gallery opening, I stood in front of my artwork, surrounded by people who admired my creations. I felt proud and accomplished, but as I looked around, I couldn't shake the feeling of longing for Jake's presence. I wanted to share this moment with him, to see the pride in his eyes and feel his support. As the evening went on, I met new people and expanded my network, but a part of my heart felt incomplete. I missed the comfort of Jake's love, and I realized that while I was chasing my dreams, I also needed to nurture the love that had inspired me from the start. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity, but I made a decision. I needed to go back to Maplewood to reconnect with my roots and the people who had always believed in me. It was time to show my family that pursuing my dreams didn't mean abandoning them. When I arrived back in Maplewood, I was greeted with warm hugs and smiles from my family. They were proud of me, and I could see the love in their eyes as I shared my experiences in the city. I felt lighter, as if the chains of expectation had finally loosened. But as I settled back into the familiar rhythms of my hometown, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was still missing. I needed to talk to Jake, to bridge the distance that had grown between us. One evening I called him, my heart racing with anticipation. "Jake, can we meet? I need to talk to you." "Of course." "When?" he asked, his voice filled with concern. "Tomorrow. I'm back in Maplewood," I said, my voice trembling with emotion. The next day, we met at our favorite coffee shop, the same one where we had first connected. As we sat across from each other, I could see the warmth in his eyes, but there was also a hint of uncertainty. "I've missed you," he said, his voice soft. "I've missed you too, but I realized something while I was in the city," I confessed, my heart pounding. "I can't chase my dreams without you. You're a part of my journey, Jake." He looked at me, his expression shifting from surprise to understanding. "I've always believed in you, Emma, but I didn't want to hold you back. I want you to succeed. I need you by my side, cheering me on, just like you always have," I said, my voice firm. "I don't want to lose what we have." Jake reached across the table, taking my hand in his. "You won't lose me, Emma. I'll always be here for you. We can make this work." In that moment, I felt a wave of relief wash over me. I knew that our love could endure the distance, as long as we were both committed to nurturing it. I was ready to chase my dreams, but I also wanted to share every step of the journey with him. As we left the coffee shop hand in hand, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. I was ready to embrace my future, to reach for the stars, and to show everyone that a girl from a small town could achieve greatness. And I would do it with the love of my life by my side, lighting the way. Together, we would chase our dreams, hand in hand, heart to heart, ready to conquer whatever the world threw our way. The future was bright, and I was determined to shine.